Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing an unboxing and first look on the Fly Superlace Pro X2 boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here. Today I'm excited to bring you an unboxing and first look on the newly released Fly Superlace Pro X2 boxing gloves. These are the successor to the original Xline gloves from Fly. I want to give a shout out to the team over at Seconds Out Fight Shop. They are based out of Edinburgh, England, and this is where I purchased these gloves from. They retail for $250. I got mine in 16-ounce lace-up. They are also available in Velcro. And I got mine in the newly released gray and space blue colorway, which I think looks really sharp and is a new color they added to their lineup. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this box cut open. I'm excited to see how these gloves turned out. Now, the Xline gloves are the PU synthetic version of their original premium gloves, and came out a couple of years ago, and it's basically a more budget-friendly and affordable version of their premium gloves. And I think that Fly did a really good job in terms of being able to, have their premium gloves, which is, starts at around $400 to $450, obviously a little bit more now because of inflation and whatnot around the world, but they have their premium gloves, but not everybody can afford, nor does everybody want to spend $400 to $500 on a pair of boxing gloves. So they essentially came out with their Xline gloves, which I've done a review on in the past. And those are solid gloves, but there was definitely some opportunities there, if you want to call it, when it came to those gloves. So, for me, the big one was always kind of the thumb, which is kind of the issue I had, even with my premium gloves, with the thumb being kind of short. And oftentimes when I would use those gloves, I felt like the thumb would jam, and just kind of the base of the thumb was really tight. And overall, Fly have always been a little bit more of a compact style glove, even at the larger weight class, larger weight gloves like 16 or even the 18-ounce gloves. So I'm really excited to see what improvements they've made, which we'll discuss here in a second. I'll go off the website to discuss on what improvements they have made compared to the original Xline gloves that they made to these new versions. So we shall see. So first things first. So I got a little card here from Seconds Out Fight Store. Thank you for your order. Don't forget to tag us in your social media posts. Let me put my knife away. Actually, let me fold my knife before I stab myself. I have a bad habit of cutting myself. The Seconds Out Fight Store. So secondOut.co.uk has all their information right there. So I got this card from them, stuck in a wee gift from Scotland. Hope it's a good fit, mate. Ross Seconds Out. So big shout out. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate that. Love the card. Have that right there. So got this card from Seconds Out, and looks like they stuck in a nice little shirt. So open that up. Let's see how this looks like. Okay, so it's Seconds Out Fight Store, and there you go. So add a nice shirt. Appreciate it. Much love, guys. Thank you for this beautiful shirt. So I got the shirt that they threw in, and of course, what we're here for, the gloves. So wrapped in plastic. First initial thought is, I can't remember if my original Xline gloves came, and they probably did, but Fly usually puts their premium gloves in a nice black Fly box that has like a little, has a lip on it. And I think Fly was probably one of the first, if I can recall, that really did a really good job of packaging their boxing gloves or their boxing equipment in general, presentation wise. Like when I first got my very first pair of Fly gloves, which were the Superlace in navy blue, I remember getting it and I was like, oh wow, these look awesome in terms of like the presentation. I opened the box up and they have this black Fly box, and then you open it and then it has almost like this satin bag that the glove goes into, and then you pull it out of that bag and it's still wrapped up. So just in terms of presentation, I remember their premium gloves had that. I can't remember if my original Xlines had that, but in this case, it does not come with the Fly box. Not a huge deal to me because, again, you know, I'm all about the gloves and using them in training, and obviously the extra attention to detail is appreciated as well, but these just come in a plastic bag. So go ahead and pull it out. So here is the right glove, and here's that new colorway in gray. The space blue is basically like a kind of like a pearlized navy blue. So that's the right glove. Again, lace up 16 ounces. And here is the left glove. Check it out, plastic, throw that to the side. And here's the left glove as well. And it does have this fly tag on here. It does say Superlace X2, gray space blue 16. There's like a little SKU number. So you do have this fly tag on here. And I think it opens up. Oh no, it doesn't open up. So it's just basically like this little clear plastic piece that goes over this little black cardboard. So you do have that attached to the thumb portion where the thumb attachment is at. So you can see here. So right off the bat, my first impression right away, just looking at, I haven't even just put these on yet, but they seem larger, like compared to the outgoing 16-ounce models that I've seen before. I feel like they've made the glove a little bit more roomier just from looking at the glove. And I feel like the thumb is more parallel and more pulled in, which is a great thing. So that's the first thing I noticed. The PU on here, the synthetic, looks to be pretty much the same grade. It looks like the same quality as the PU they used before, which is a nice quality PU. You're starting to see it more from other brands as well, that they're using kind of the synthetic that replicates the look and feel of leather. Obviously, it's not a genuine leather glove. Otherwise, you'd be paying a lot more money. But they do a pretty good job of replicating the look and feel. And you know, PU is different in the way it reacts to the elements. Where genuine leather is obviously you know, it's a living, or was a living skin, but it's skin, so you have to constantly clean it and use leather conditioner, moisturize it in terms of wanting to put some longevity into the glove. Where PU, it's not. All you have to do is really just wipe them down, make sure you don't have a lot of sweat or moisture on them in order to maintain the PU, to prevent it from drying out and cracking. But in a lot of scenarios, you're starting to see a lot more of the PU material, PU meaning polyurethane, and these synthetics, microfiber, whatever you want to call it, doing a really good job and lasting longer than leather because of the maintenance not having to be done as regularly as you would with leather. And so you don't have the high risk factor like you do with a leather good. So now I wanted to show you guys the description, or kind of go over it on their website. So from a spec standpoint, you do have 9 colorways for the X2. Obviously this gray space blue is a new color they added. They have like almost like a baby blue, they call it pale blue, and it's gray. So they have some really sharp colors. From a sizing standpoint, it looks like you can get these between 10 to 18 ounces, so a good range of sizes. And obviously you can also get it in Velcro. So the improvements they've made from the outgoing Xline model, the first thing is going to be the higher cuff line for improved wrist alignment and support. A revised cuff line moved in line with the user's wrist, enhancing wrist alignment and support, reducing strain and improving stability during use. So basically, this cuff line is higher up compared to the original Xlines, which sit a little bit lower. So essentially giving you more stability on the back where your wrist is located. So they have a higher cuff line there. You'll notice that it does still have kind of that X crisscross pattern, like the original Xlines and the other Fly gloves as well. That's an aesthetic and look that they started, that Fly did when they first came out. So, and you'll notice that the cuff line is definitely higher, not just by visually looking at it from top to bottom, but you also notice that the stitching comes up higher, and it doesn't end at the bottom of the cuff. So you can definitely tell it's higher up. Redesigned ergonomic thumb position for optimized fist grip. The new thumb shape and grip alignment, promoting a more natural clenched fist shape, improving comfort, power, and hand safety. So again, just visually looking at it compared to the outgoing model, and that's one thing you'll notice. Again, I haven't even put my hand in the glove yet, is it seems more like pulled in, and it just seems like a bigger thumb. So let me go ahead and slide my hand in. Oh yeah, definitely way better. So just right off the bat, sliding in my hand into this glove, it definitely feels more roomier. I'm using my left hand because my left hand it is a little bit larger than my right, especially at the base of my thumb. I've mentioned it in other videos before where my left thumb, the base of my thumb is thicker. So usually I put the left glove on first because I want to feel that out. Because I know if it's comfortable for my left, then it's guaranteed going to be comfortable for my right. But the base of the thumb definitely is much roomier. And the thumb itself is just more roomier and it's deeper. So when I clench it down right here and make a fist, it does its job with the attached thumb here by not allowing the tip to flare out. But I definitely don't feel like my thumb is going to jam anymore. And that was an issue I originally had with the flies that I mentioned years ago, was just the tip of the thumb being too shallow, and then my thumb would jam into that. And that was even with the premium or the Xline glove. So, big shout out to them for improving that thumb. Added thumb tip protection for enhanced safety. Extra padding at the thumb tip provides protection against jamming and reduces the risk of injury for safer training. So yeah, it looks like they just put a little bit more padding towards the tip. Not a huge deal for me. I mean, this adds a little bit more, but just the shape, ergonomics, and the depth of the thumb right there alone is a big improvement. Curved back of hand for a more natural fit. A curved back design follows the hand's natural shape for a snug, comfortable, and responsive fit. So basically, if you look at the glove, the way it sits now, is basically they formed it to where the foam, when they stuff it into the PU, it has a little bit more of a curve to it, which is a good thing. I mean, I haven't used these gloves yet, but essentially that's going to help with your wrist alignment and essentially turning your punches over. And again, another thing I mentioned in other videos, a lot of times the protection comes from how good of a fist you can make and how easily you can make contact with your knuckles when you're hitting the bag, right? You shouldn't have to put a lot of effort into making a really nice tight fist and having to turn your punches over and overcompensating. So I can foresee having that curved back of hand can definitely help improve that, but we'll see when I start training with the gloves. So those are basically the improvements they've made to the outgoing model. Based on just looking at the gloves, from the onset, I think the big thing here to me is going to be the size of the glove. Definitely feels a little bit larger, and the thumb. To me, the thumb is really the game changer when it comes to these gloves in particular. Just a deeper thumb, a more roomier thumb compartment, and the base piping of the thumb is more forgiving. It doesn't feel like you have this super tight piping there that's restricting and cutting off the circulation to your thumb and to your hand. So definitely on the roomier side. I say for a 16-ounce glove, they're probably medium to larger in size. So I would foresee this would be a good glove that you can use for all of your training in the gym, hitting the bag, mitt work, doing sparring with these. Obviously, based on your weight class, will determine what size to get. The PU on here has a satin finish to it. It's not a super glossy PU, nor is it matte or dull looking. I'd say it's more on the satin side. You do have the Fly logo in white on the back of the glove that says Fly, nothing surprising there. Again, you do have that crisscross stitch pattern, X pattern on the back of the wrist with the higher wrist right here, which is double stitched in. You're looking at about, I'd say, about an inch of medium density foam padding on the back of the wrist. You also do have a 16-ounce tag that is stitched into the bottom of the liner on the inside of the cuff. The liner on here is very comfortable, just like other Fly gloves. It's like a silky polyester satin liner. So I definitely like the liner on this. Very silky, has a kind of a cool touch to it when you slide your hand into the glove, which I definitely like a lot. Let me undo the laces on here and get these out of the way. The inside of the wrist, maybe about 3/4, almost an inch of medium density foam padding on the inside of the wrist on both sides. I definitely feel like the wrist padding on here in terms of the firmness is similar in density to the outgoing model. So it definitely feels a little bit more on the softer side, which I know a lot of people have had complaints about when it comes to the wrist support with Flies being softer. It still feels a little bit on the softer side when it comes to this wrist support. So when you're holding the bottom cuff of the glove, it does have a little bit of flex to it. But you know, again, once I start training with it, I'll give you guys my feedback on how that wrist support definitely feels. You do have white piping at the bottom that goes up where the laces are at. The laces on here definitely look long, not too long, definitely not too short, and they are round laces with plastic tips at the very end. You do have blue piping at the same color, that space blue, on the base of the thumb. The grip bar in here, I feel can definitely be improved. That was one critique I said about the outgoing model as well, is the grip bar on here is medium in firmness and it's just medium in size. I definitely wish this would have been larger. It would be nice if they just put like a rubber tube, so it just feels like you can really grip onto it when you close your hand. But I definitely feel the grip bar in here, just feeling it for the first time, you know, is about medium in firmness. I definitely feel like it'd be more firm and a little bit larger. But you do have the grip bar, no ventilated holes on the thumb or on the palm. And again, you do have that attached thumb. Now, padding. When you feel the padding on here, I definitely say it's medium to soft in firmness. It does have much more broken in feel, which I love. That's the type of glove I personally prefer. You know, everybody's different, but it definitely has more of a softer broken in feel. And even with these straight out of the box, you can just see I can open and close my hand with relative ease. I'd say that these gloves are probably 95% broken in. I mean, if I were to use that as a gauge, or, you know, if I were to give it a kind of a rating, I'd say that these are very well broken in from the get-go. So you can see I can open and close my hand with no issues whatsoever. And I definitely love the way these feel in terms of like how soft they are. And that's just me, you know, that's my personal preference. I know a lot of you guys have seen my videos where I talk about that, where, you know, my personal preference is softer gloves and how that feels. Sounds like it makes a really good, appealing sound when you're landing your punches. With it being softer over the knuckles, I could definitely tell that this will probably be a much more flat punching surface the more I break it in to land on those two front knuckles. When you compress down on the foam, it feels soft at first, but the more you kind of push into it, you can feel it kind of firm up, which I really like. So basically, based on just the compression of the foam padding they use in here, which I believe is a layered foam padding. Let me double check on their website. Description. Engineered artificial leather shell with reinforced double stitching for maximum durability. High density foam for ergonomic comfort and elite level impact absorption. So optional, they can do personalization as well, non-refundable, with a 3 to 5 day lead time for customized orders. So you can customize and put your name on here if you want to. So high density foam. Now, one thing I think is a misconception when they say high density, it doesn't necessarily mean that the foam is going to be like rock solid hard, like injected molded foam. What high density foam is, I think they use it on their base layer, not on this top layer. It's essentially a foam that it's like a closed cell foam that if you were to get the foam and you were to pinch it or squeeze it between your fingers, that it takes a lot of effort to kind of squeeze it down to make it really, really flat. Where some other foams, it might be the same thickness, but when you squeeze it, it has like no resistance. And that's kind of essentially what I believe they use on their base layer, with kind of a softer layer up top. That's where the strike surface is at. So that's what I think they mean by a high density foam padding with these gloves. But overall, man, I mean, compared to the outgoing model, this is definitely a big jump in my opinion when it comes to the overall ergonomics, to feel how soft they feel right out the bat. Being a 16-ounce glove, again, I feel like they're definitely on the larger side, medium to large. So it does come down a little bit further on the forearm. And you'll also notice that the 16-ounce, I do have a little bit of space around my forearm right here, even if after I have these cinched up. So obviously that's going to be more occupied once I have my hand wraps on. But that definitely has a little bit more of a roomier feel around the wrist and the cuff. So, you know, just kind of going off of what I see right now, if you want a more kind of a tighter feel, I would probably go down a size. So if I wanted more of a tighter, snugger feel around my wrist, I would probably go with the 14s compared to the 16s. But definitely love to see the improvements they made, especially on the thumb, more comfortable foam padding, more comfortable hand compartment overall, and definitely excited to try out these gloves and use them, and then eventually do a review on these gloves. But so far, so good. These look great. Love the colorway too. I don't think I've ever had a gray and navy blue glove, so that'll also be a first for me. But looking forward to trying these out and doing a review on them. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you guys know what to do. Put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where I purchased my Fly Pro X2 boxing gloves. I'll see you guys later. Peace.